Students, welcome to another session of geography. In the first part of chapter 6, that is minerals and energy resources of India, we discussed about metallic minerals and fossil fuels, which are the fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, etc. Then we also discussed about hydroelectricity in detail. Now in this session we have to discuss about two important hydel power station. They are Bakranangal Dam and Hirakud Dam. Then we also discuss about non-conventional sources of energy. You know the importance of non-conventional sources of energy, because nowadays coal, petroleum, all these things are getting over. So we need to make use of some other sources to produce power, electricity. So we are depending upon some kind of sources like solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, nuclear energy. So all these we are going to discuss in this chapter. Children, let us continue discussing the chapter minerals and energy sources in India. We have discussed in the last class up to this hydel power. We discussed all these things, how the hydroelectricity is produced. We discussed. Then we also discussed about which are the favorable conditions for the development of hydroelectricity. Then we also discussed about which are the favorable conditions which helps the establishment of hydel power station in India. Then especially we found that in western region, in the western Ghats, the more hydroelectric power stations are located. The reason also we discussed, because the hydroelectricity is the only source of power generation here, and many of the big cities like Maharashtra, you know, Mumbai, Gujarat, Karnataka, all these big states and their big cities are they are in need of power supply. They mainly depend upon hydro electricity. So for that reason, being western Ghats, it receives 200 centimeter of rainfall, more than that. So continuous flow of water is favorable for production of hydroelectric power station. So in India, you see more number of hydroelectric power stations are found in the western Ghats region. Then we also discuss about the advantages of hydel power and also disadvantages. You need to go through all these points. Then hydroelectric development in India, we discuss that in all these states. We discuss that in Karnataka, which are the region hydroelectric power stations are located. In Maharashtra, which are the region hydroelectric power station is located. You need to then Kerala also, Tamil Nadu. In all these states, number of hydroelectric power stations are found. Here you see in Punjab also is there. Punjab we will discuss about Punjab, you know, Bakranangal Dam. That is what we are going to mainly discuss in this chapter, Bakranangal project. Mainly we discuss about two important hydel power project of India, that is Bakranangal project, and another one is Hirakud. Okay, Bakranangal is in Punjab and Hirakud is in Orissa. Clear? These all we discuss. Then you see West Bengal also hydel power station. Damodar Valley project, which one? Maithan Dam is there. That is in Jharkhand here. Then in West Bengal also there are Damodar Valley project is there, which produce electricity out of water. We are living in also in DVC region, but here DVC is producing electricity out of thermal power. Mainly coal is the raw material here. So let us move on to the multi-project. So that also we discuss multi-project. Here the power station is constructed not only for the power generation but also for the irrigation facility, fish culture, for controlling the flood, for construction of canals. This canal also provide as an important means of transport, all these. Okay. Now we are going to discuss one of the important power project in India, that is Bakranangal project. This is located in Punjab. Okay. Actually Bakra and Nangal. Bakra is one dam and Nangal is another dam. Both the dams are located in nearby location on the course of river Satluj. This dam is located on the course of river Satluj. On the course of river Satluj. Okay, Then one famous lake is there behind Bakra Dam. Famous reservoir, you know that famous reservoir is that Nagarjuna Lake. Sorry, not Nagarjuna, Govind Sagar. The famous lake which is located behind Bakra Dam is that Govind Sagar Lake. Okay. Then this dam is located about 13 km downstream from the Bakra Dam, Nangal Dam. Nangal Dam, as I told you, Bakra and Nangal. Then about 13 km away in the downstream, suppose you see, this is the river Satluj, then Bakra, then after 13 km, which one? Nangal Dam. Is it clear? So these are the two main power station of this dam, Bakra and Nangal. Then the main purpose of this project is to supply electric power to Himachal Pradesh, Chandigarh, Punjab, Haryana and Delhi and parts of Rajasthan. That means this power station is constructed in collaboration of all these states, Himachal, Chandigarh, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and parts of Delhi and Rajasthan. These regions are getting power supply from Bakra Nangal project. And next we discuss Hirakud project. Let's see Hirakud project. You see the picture is given here, Hirakud project. It is on the located, constructed in the valley of river Mahanadi. Must have heard river Mahanadi, one of the important river in Orissa. It's located in Orissa. This has been constructed. So you know that, children, Bakra Nangal Dam is the largest dam in India. Bakra Nangal is the largest and Hirakud is the longest dam. Not only in India, it is the longest dam in the world. Hirakud Dam is the longest dam in the world. So these two facts you remember. Bakra Nangal Dam is the largest dam in India and Hirakud Dam is the longest dam in India. Not only in India, it is the longest dam in the world. Okay, Hirakud Dam, which is located in Orissa on the coast of river Mahanadi. Then what is that? There are two powerhouses, just like Bakra and Nangal. Two powerhouses are there for Bakra Nangal Dam. Similar way, there are two powerhouses are there for Hirakud project. One is Hirakud powerhouse and another one is Chipilima powerhouse. Okay, first one is Hirakud powerhouse and second one is Chipilima powerhouse. These are the two power stations which is located in Hirakud power project. Clear? So this project has a great contribution in the development of farming, mining industries. Why? Because it is providing water supply also to the farming and also for mining. Mining, they need supply, power supply, isn't it? Then industries also, they need power supply. So it is an important source of all these. These are the importance of Hirakud Dam. Then here some list is given. Benefit of Hirakud Dam is there. That also you can go through. It checks the flooding in river Mahanadi, checks soil erosion, develops water power for industry, making river navigable, domestic water supply of afforestation, fish culture. So that means domestic water supply is also, we are also getting running water from Damodar Valley, isn't it? River, Damodar River. Similar way, and domestic water supply also, and also fish culture, recreation. Then riverside, you know, of beautiful scenery, people go there for spending time. Then makes the river navigable. Why? Because excess level of water is there collected in Hirakud Dam. So there's so that it make the river navigable. Then check the soil erosion, all these. Then children, you see both the Bakra Nangal and Hirakud projects are given here and their importance. Some of the points only you need to go through, like river location you have to go through, which are the states these are, what is that, supplying power. Then you have to see that which are the power station located in both the river, this dam. Then you have to also see that which are the crops flourishing growing due to this irrigation available from this dam irrigation facility, then industries which are flourishing depending upon these two power projects, then special fish. So all these things you need to go through. And then next we have to discuss non-conventional sources of energy. Here what do you mean by non-conventional source of energy? Here see, we discuss about coal, petroleum and all. They are conventional sources of energy. They are non-renewable. We cannot reproduce. Once it is finished, non-renewable means what is that? They are finished forever. So that is why they are non-renewable resources. But there are some resources which we can use, and but they cannot be finished forever. They are called, they can be reproduced, they can be regenerated. Such kind of resources are called renewable resources. They are called renewable resources. Like you know, sun's energy, solar energy, we say solar energy, sun's energy never get finished. We can make use of sun's energy. So like that, solar energy is there as renewable resources. Then we can make use of wind energy. Okay, wind energy can be made use to generate power. And tidal energy also. What is tidal energy? We will discuss. It is mainly energy which is produced out of the tides in the ocean. That we will discuss further when we discuss that topic. Then from biogas also energy is being produced. Now all the wastages, everything, if it is dumped in a ditch, you know, it forms some gases. That gas can be collected in a pipe. Through the pipeline it can be used for lighting the lamps and even cooking and all. Biogas. Then another source is a nuclear energy. Nuclear energy, you all know that nuclear radioactive elements like uranium, thorium, plutonium. These are the radioactive elements. These can be used in nuclear reactors. So that what happened, power can be generated. Usually these nuclear radioactive elements are used for bomb making. Not only for bomb making, this can be used like power and generation, nuclear energy. Mainly fission and fusion. This you must have studied in your chemistry classes. Again we will discuss while discussing. Through these two processes in the nuclear power station, with the help of radioactive elements, nuclear energy is produced. So these are all can be considered as a renewable source of energy. Okay, so these renewable sources of energy can be called as non-conventional sources of energy. So these are all called non-conventional sources of energy. So we are going to discuss this in detail. So what is this non-conventional source of energy? Let's see from here. Conventional sources of energy like coal, petroleum, natural gas are exhaustible resources. What is exhaustible? Because they finishes. They can deplete as much we use, they get reduced. It creates lot of pollution. And so as much you all know, coal, petroleum and all causes pollution. Hydroelectricity is clean fuel and renewable source of energy. But at the source of its production, huge dams are being built, which create environmental problem. Okay, hydroelectricity is okay, we can use, it is renewable, water will never get finished. But construction of too many dams can cause environmental problem. Isn't it? It need occupy vast area for the construction. So it will change the habitat of the animals and birds and all which are living in that region. It can cause deforestation in certain extent. So all this, okay, it is also very expensive. So that we need to go for, now we are mainly depending upon this hydroelectric power station, thermal power station and all for producing power. Even petrol, coal and all for producing energy. Now what we do, these are all getting finished nowadays, and that is why petrol, diesel and all their price is going very high day by day. Now we have to find something in cheaper which remain long last in order problem of power generation. So we need to now look for non-conventional sources of energy. Let's see which are the non-conventional sources of energy which we have developed and we are trying to make use. And before that, let's go through the advantages of non-conventional sources of energy. See that advantages, these are renewable sources of energy. This will never finish. This can be regenerated. Non-conventional sources of energy are mostly not pollution. They never cause any pollution. They are pollution free. These sources are decentralized. Decentralized means, you see, suppose from a main area the power is generated, then from there it is sent to other region. But it's not like that. Non-conventional sources of solar energy, they can produce in a village itself, then they can supply in their village, then they can produce it in another village also nearby in separately. So it's like that. Okay, there is a decentralization, but not like hydel power station and all. Okay, that is what. So this is the advantage. So they are depending on themselves. They do not, if there is any failure here, this will not affect another place. Understood? That is what meant by here. So these also are decentralized. Energy can be produced in rural areas. Energy can be generated at low capital investment. Then maintenance of devices is very easy. Some source of energy like biogas solve the problem of waste disposal. Even biogas, you know, it is produced out of wastages. So waste disposal also we are trying nowadays, where we are simply depositing here and there, causing environmental problem. That problem also can be solved by making use of biogas. So multi-purpose. These are all the advantages of non-conventional sources of energy you need to by heart. And next is that solar energy we discuss under the solar energy. When we discuss, you know sun is the source of energy. Even hydel power station, it's also depending upon sun's energy. How? Because it is produced out of water. Water is generated through the water cycle due to the energy of sun. So everything, each and every element on the earth depends upon the sun's energy. You know that. So nowadays there is a new technique developed to produce electricity out of sun's energy. How it is? There are solar energy is transmitted from sun in the form of electromagnetic radiation. It can be converted into thermal energy with the help of devices called solar collectors and receivers. There are some solar collectors and devices, solar collectors and receivers, some devices are used. So these devices can transmit sun's energy, solar energy into thermal energy. So that what happened, that energy can be used for solar cells, heater, solar cooker, solar water pumps, etc. Now solar cells, you know that there are solar cells which they observe the solar energy and they can convert the solar energy into electricity. So in this way, electricity which is produced with the help of solar cell is mainly used in for irrigation purpose, running pumps, central heating. So many places for lightning, street lightning, for all these they are using the solar cells nowadays. You can see here one solar pan. So this is the solar panel. So a group of solar cells are attached, joined together in this, and here you see solar panel. Group of solar cells are attached in this joint. So the jointly they can produce huge quantity of energy, and this can use for street lightning and all. Even Cochin airport is mainly working under the solar cells. Okay, then the next is this. Then solar cooker is there. So solar energy is used in this solar cooker for cooking the food. How it is, this cooker is made out of glass, all the sides. Its top covering of this cooker, suppose this one, top covering, and these sides are made out of glass, and bottom is mainly covered with an insulation paper, black insulation paper. Okay, once the food is kept here, inside food is kept, what happens is that these solar cooker absorb the sun rays, because it is glass, isn't it? So it absorbs the heat energy, but it does not allow the heat energy to escape, so that a heat is produced inside, so that food is cooked easily. This is the functioning of solar cooker. And the next is that what this is how solar energy works. Then solar heater, solar water heaters are also there, which we use for heating the water. Solar water heater is there. So what are the advantages of solar energy is that it is a renewable source of energy. Then this energy is environmental friendly. So these panels are extremely reliable. So that means they will not get damaged so soon. Okay. In the long run, solar electricity is cheaper. Then solar cells make no noise. There is huge variety of solar panels, not required to connect to power grid. There is no power grid, I told you, no. It independently in village, people can set up solar panel. Then with that energy, that can even light the lamps, street lights. This is decentralized source of energy. Then what are the disadvantages? You see, children, during the rainy season you cannot, because no sunshine you get during the rainy season. Then it can be harnessed during the daytime only. Then solar panels also require inverters and storage by some storage battery. During the daytime, the sun energy which is received, it is converted into electricity that has to be stored. The storage batteries are all essential for this. Then large areas are required. Then energy production is quite low compared to other form. Very low level of energy can be only produced. So there are lot of limitations are there. Next is how the electricity is produced out of wind energy. So you see that, you can see here in the picture windmills. If you go to Tamil Nadu region and all, no, you can see number of windmills, because that region and all suitable. Why? Because continuous flow of wind is very essential, especially in the coastal region and all. This wind is there. So you see this windmills, these are called windmills. It has got 3 blades. You see the blade of windmill. Okay. So due to the energy of the wind, these windmills blades rotate. Okay. As they rotate, what happens is when they rotate very fast, there are machineries attached with this windmill. They can run lot of machineries like what is the electric pumps, generators, water generators. So like that, even they can even light the street lights, lamps and all. Energy can be stored in this way of the windmill as according to their rotation. Its energy is stored, so that can be used for many purpose. Okay, this is all about wind energy. So let's go through the sentence. Electricity produced by the rotation of the turbine force due to the force of wind is known as wind energy. So turbine, the electricity produced by the rotation of turbine. Turbine, what is turbine? The rotation windmill with 3 blade is called turbine. Okay. So due to the rotational motion of this turbine, they produce electricity. Okay. Then these electricity which is produced can drive several machineries. So which are the areas favorable in India? Like, you know, areas experiencing strong steady wind continuously, ideal for generation of wind energy. Coastal areas of Tamil Nadu are very suitable for this. Many windmills are set up there. Then advantages, it is inexhaustible because they will never finish. The wind is free, and with modern technology it can be made use efficiently. Then once the wind turbine is built, the energy produces does not cause greenhouse gas or other pollution. No pollution. Understood? Then no wastage of land. Remote areas that are connected to the electric power grid can use wind turbines. Okay, remote area which are not connected. There are even in nowadays in village area you cannot find electricity. So there and all they can use this wind energy. Okay, these are all the advantages. It also has got some disadvantages. Why? Because all the places are not suitable for the wind establishment of windmill, and it also generates a small quantity of electricity. Then wind turbines are very noisy. So a lot of disadvantages, you please go through it. And next is the tidal energy, how the electricity is produced out of tidal energy. For that, let us see this diagram. Here you see high tide and low tide. So we learned that means the level of ocean water changes. You know, when the low level, the high tide and low tide take place twice in a day. Okay, so low tide is the level of water, low level of water. Then high tide is the level of water increasing. So this low tide and high tide mainly occur due to the gravitational pull of the sun and moon. You know that earth is this. Then suppose imagine this is moon. So that compared to moon, sun is little far away. So moon's gravitational pull is much. So due to the gravitational pull of the earth, pull of the moon on earth, what happens is that water level in this part rises. Water level rises here. Okay. So next time what happen? The rotation of the earth take place, so that this happens in the first 12 hours. So when here this part they experience high tide, what happened? Here also experience high tide. Why? Because once the moon pulls this ocean water, the earth slightly shift from its place. Then what happens that here also their experience. Why? Because this water remains, only the earth is slightly pulled away. So both the place their experience high tide. But then where experience low tide at the same time? Here experience, both the place experience low tide. Why? Because water from this area is drawn. This water from this place is drawn towards this region. Okay, from both the region. So that here two places there occur low tide, and at the same time two places high tide. You always remember that. This is the theory. Suppose earth is there. Here experience high tide, then opposite side also there experience high tide due to the gravitational pull of the moon. Then here experience low tide. Understood? And next time if there here experience high tide, here also high tide, then here low tide. Okay, so this figure only is shown here. Okay, this is high tide and this is low tide. Then how these high tide and low tide, it happens every 12 hours. Like after 12 low tide, 12 hours there occur high tide. Then next 12 hours there occur low tide. Again next 12 hours there occur high tide. So with this high tide and low tide, how the electricity is produced? You can see here. See children, there is one barrage is constructed here in the narrow opening of the ocean. So where there is a narrow opening, estuary, usually these are constructed in the estuaries where the deep area of the ocean, the narrow opening, one tidal barrage is constructed like that, and it has got a turbine. It has got a turbine. So here now you see, during the tide you see when there is high tide. Now you see it is a high tide. Okay, so this is high tide. So what happens is that they open a gate. Here a small gate is there. When the small gate is open, what is the water flow from the high to low area, isn't it? This water start flowing from this ocean to the land here. Okay, it is start. So due to the flow of water during the high tide, this turbine is rotated due to the flow. So energy is created. Okay, then next time what happens is that next time, so that got deleted I think. Okay, next time what happens is same. You see here, you see this diagram. Here for example, suppose in the low tide, here the water level is high, okay, compared to here this ocean water level is low. Then what happens that here one gate is there, this gate will be opened, so that what happen, water will flow from, now what will happen, water will flow from here to here, water flow from here to here, so that what in both the case during the high tide and low tide water flow is taken place, so that turbine is start moving both the time. So due to the rotation of the movement of these turbines, electricity can be produced. This is how the electricity is produced out of tidal energy. I hope that you understood this. And the next is that yes, we discussed all these, and tidal energy you understood. We will just read this. The total identified potential tidal energy is 9000 milliwatt in West Coast, Gulf of Khambat, Kutch, and all these. Okay, just read out all these. The energy, so then next is that advantages of tidal energy you have to go through. Then also read out about disadvantage of tidal energy. These are all things you can understand so easily even without much explanation. And the next is the geothermal energy. What is the geothermal energy? This is also produced in a very few places. You know, there are some region which comes into contact with the volcanic region. Volcanic region means, you know, that the mantle, you know, all molten things are there, molten rocks are there in the molten form because of the high temperature. Then the crustal part which comes into contact with this what is that, volcanic region. Volcanic region means which are more heated region are there. They, when they come into contact with this crust part, the rocks and the crust part which is in contact is always heated. Okay, so under the earth, okay, water is, the rocks which are come into contact with volcanic region, what happen, water is heated. So that what happen, underground you can get the hot water. Suppose if you drill out, suppose the crust, if they, while drilling, they can get hot water from this region, like, okay. So in this region what they do is that they make two holes. Then they pour in cold water. They pour in cold water in one hole. Then what happens? Due to the pressure, what happens? Hot water start coming from. So this hot water, you know, steam also is there. As much they get heated, steam is also produced. So this hot water start emitting from this region. Then this hot water will come from here. So what happened? This steam, the steam and this region, the steam out of this heat can be used for the electricity production. So I hope that you understood how the geothermal. So you understand this much. Geothermal energy is the energy obtained from the earth from the hot rocks present inside the earth. Heat is produced due to the fission of radioactive materials in the earth core, and some places inside the earth become very hot. They are called hot spots. Okay, so wherever hot spot which comes into contact with the volcanic region. How volcanic region? Because due to the fission of radioactive materials in the earth core, radioactive materials are there, that is why the earth core is heated. So those region which comes into hot volcanic region are called hot spot. Then as more steam is formed, it gets combusted at high pressure and comes into the form of hot spring. Then, so why? Because as much more heat is produced, it start emitting through the surface of the earth. Then to harness geothermal energy, two holes are dug deep into the earth and cold water is pumped through the first one and steam comes out through the second long pipe, which helps in generating electricity. Then you have to also go through the advantages and disadvantages of this geothermal energy. Then their potential sites, in which are the area these are produced, like Vyuga Valley, Tattapani, Manikarnan, Bankeshwar, Tuwa, Unai. These are all the region in which are the state also you have to go through. Then the next is biogas. This only we discuss the wastage, electricity which is produced out of wastages, like waste, all the what is the domestic waste and all these plastic and all you cannot use in that. All the decayed, the wastage which can be decomposed, this can be collected in a ditch. Then once it is collected and with the covering, if it is kept, it produces some gases, like which are the gases, like combustible gas, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, methane. These are all the gases produced. So these fermentation of this waste produce this kind of gases. And then what happen, these gases can be collected. Suppose, for example, suppose you see, if there is a ditch, like, okay, all the garbages are collected in this, and then it has got a covering. Then later on they produce gases inside. So that what happens, there is a through the pipe, you can put a pipe through the small pipelet, this gas can be collected. Okay, can be collected in gas cylinders and all, small gas cylinders and all at home. Then that can be used for cooking. It can be also, several uses are there. Okay, we'll just go through it. So biogas, just read this paragraph. Then gobar, just like biogas, gobar gas plants are also there. Gobar gas plants, instead of domestic waste, they use gobar, cow dung. Okay, mainly in villages and all, many cows are grown, so cow dung is used, so that instead of biogas mass, they use the gobar. So such kind of plants are gobar plant. So gobar plant also similar working. Okay, so gobar plant using cow dung have been set up in villages. Then gobar gas is used in village for cooking. So what are the uses? Gobar gas and biomass, these are all used for cooking, lighting, pumping water from wells. For all these we can use it. Then what are the advantages and disadvantages? Please go through it. Very simple it is. You don't need to write all the points in the exam. So they will only mention, write any 2 advantages, any 3 disadvantages. So you don't need to study so many points. Then nuclear power energy. This is the last power energy we discuss. And mainly in the nuclear, in the beginning only I explained how power is generated out of nuclear power energy, mainly through the nuclear fission reaction and fusion reaction. So fission means what is that? So one nucleus, you have might have studied all these nucleus and all in chemistry. It is divided into two. One nucleus is divided into 2 nucleus. So that energy which is produced out of this process can be used for power generation. Okay, so then fusion means what? 2 nucleus atom is combined together to form a heavy atom. So here 2 light nuclear atom combined to form a heavy atom. Okay, here the huge quantity of energy is produced, huge. So this cannot be usually used for the electricity production, this nuclear fission reaction. Okay, but nuclear fusion reaction only is mainly used for power generation. So in the nuclear power, this is how the energy is produced. In the nuclear power station, mainly they use the nuclear fission reaction and nuclear fusion reaction. So you understood what is nuclear fission and fusion reaction. Let's see this sentence. In nuclear, what is a nuclear energy is powerful source of energy. There are 2 ways to obtain nuclear energy: nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Then so this is how the nucleus of the heavy radioactive elements like uranium, plutonium and thorium. So which are the radioactive elements are used mainly in this reactors? Uranium, plutonium and thorium. These are the radioactive elements used. Then huge amount of heat is generated in this process. Then nucleus fusion also is the combination. It involves a combination of fusion of two light elements form the heavier element. Two nuclei form the heavier nucleus. Here also you see that thus it cannot be. So what is that? Here the energy which is produced is uncontrollable, so it cannot be used like usually. Then main raw material are uranium, thorium and beryllium. Okay, plutonium is also there. Okay, beryllium may be plutonium. Okay, these are all about nuclear power station. Then what are the advantages and disadvantages you need to read. Okay, then you have to also go through the exercise. So children, being such a long chapter, I have just summarized the chapter. More than this we cannot explain in a video, because video's size length will go very long. So I hope that this video is useful to you all. Study well, and we'll meet in the next session.